Hello and welcome to the forecast for September 1st until the 7th. This is an eventful week, especially towards the end because we are entering eclipse season. Eclipse season is a 2-week window where we're going to have both a lunar eclipse this week and then a couple weeks later we're going to have a solar eclipse. So just so you know, eclipses are no joke. They are very serious events and they have very strong energetic effects. And one way to categorize eclipses is just knowing that they ignite either great endings or great beginnings or a combination of both. So pay attention to the signs that the eclipses are happening in. It's very significant, and you want to keep your chart in mind and what areas of life that this eclipse is happening. But like I said, we also have Mercury going into a new sign. We have Mercury going into combustion. I mean, we're not going to be bored. How about that? We're not going to be bored. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And please do like, subscribe, and hit that bell so that you are notified every time a new video is available to you. Really helps to support me and the channel. Okay, so we are going to begin here on Monday. We are knee-deep in Virgo season, and Virgo is an earth sign, and it has to do with practicality. It has to do with just taking care of your basic obligations and responsibilities. It's getting your schedules in order, your routines in order, your habits, and just really organizing our lives, making it efficient as well, just cleansing. There's a lot of cleansing that happens with Virgo, getting rid of the junk, the excess, the superfluous, whatever you don't need that is just making things hard and complicated. Virgo likes ease of flow. It likes health. It likes homeostasis. So anything that is causing inflammation in our lives, Virgo wants to purge. It wants to illuminate. And it's about the right use of our energy, our effort, our time, things of that nature. So it's super practical, very practical, and deals with a lot of the, mundane activities of life and making sure that we're on top of things. So that's a big energy that is in the background that we are interacting with. Now, Moon on this day is in Sagittarius, and that is a pretty nice placement. It's also in nice trine with Mercury. And Sagittarius brings lots of possibilities and hopefulness and optimism and just really looking forward to the future too. And it has quite a bird's eye perspective. So I think that's a really nice pairing with the sun in, I'm talking like we're talk about food and wine, but it is a nice pairing with the sun in Virgo because your moon is able to see, it deals with intuition. So it's able to see a more broader perspective and making sure that, Virgo is really handling all the details in the best possible way. And Mercury is going to be in Leo for the last day here on Monday because on Tuesday it changes. It goes into Virgo. But here on this last day, Mercury is also in a fire sign. And when it communicates, it's very expressive, it's inspired, it's heart-centered. And so Mercury and the moon are in a really nice conversation. Overall, internally and even mentally, like we're thinking more positive and we're feeling very hopeful and feeling good and feeling that the future is going to be brighter rather than worse off, which would be nice to have a little bit of. So a bit more enthusiasm, inspiration, hopefulness is in the air for our hearts and our minds. And so our minds are thinking in a better way. Because let me tell you, when Mercury comes into combustion, it's going to be rough. Okay, so other things too, Moon is in square with Saturn, and Saturn brings those reality checks, right? And Saturn sometimes can feel very restricting and feeling doubtful, but I'm not too worried about it because Moon is in Sagittarius and it's talking to Mercury in Leo. So I feel that Saturn is going to bring more of that practicality and groundedness that we're also getting from Virgo. So I like the whole mixture here. We do have Mars in a square with Jupiter. So you see Mars in Libra, Jupiter in Cancer. Now, this can really ignite some action here too, because Jupiter expands things, makes things more intense, and just, yeah, it's adding more fuel to the fire essentially. So one thing to be careful of is just being impulsive in our actions, being reckless in our actions. You might have a lot more physical vitality at this time. So get some exercise in. Get some exercise in so that you are taking that energy and using it in a more constructive way rather than taking like aggressive, impulsive, risky actions with that little flare up between Jupiter and Mars. Now, one thing that is also notable is that Saturn has been in Aries for some time now, and it is retrograded back, and it is now back in Pisces. So we're going to be revisiting a lot of these Pisces themes. Also know that at the end of the week, this is where our eclipse is happening. It's a lunar eclipse in Pisces, and Saturn is now come back into Pisces. And we'll talk about what all this means later, but I think it's interesting that right before the eclipse, Saturn decides to wiggle its way back into the sign where it has been for the last few years, and it's going to be a part of this eclipse. So very interesting. But this Saturn will eventually in February go back into Aries and not come back anymore, and it's going to keep moving forward in this new 30-year cycle from Aries to Pisces. Picture this. Instead of feeling drained, doubting yourself, and putting everyone else first, instead, you are confidently expressing yourself, your boundaries, living on fire with your soul's mission, and experiencing this deep well of inner peace. This transformation, it's possible. I live it myself every day, and that's why I created Rise and Thrive. This is a transformative membership that combines the wisdom of Chinese medicine, essential oils, and other healing practices that shift you from surviving to thriving. So click down in the link below to join the Rise and Thrive membership so that you too can live a life in harmony, in peace, and in deep, authentic alignment with your true essence. Now, Venus is also in Leo here, and if you've been feeling a little bit more passionate with a partner, for example, this really just like ignites that passion, and it's more open and expressive, and there's more warmth in the heart here and more desire to, have some like beautiful, intense, pleasurable connection, let's say, with the people that we are in partnership with. So that's really, really nice. But it also makes friendships really fun too, because that's the thing about Leo. It's very self-expressive, it's playful, it's fun, it's adventurous. So even with money, this is an indicator for money. Sometimes we're spending money on things that are maybe not so much the practical that the sun wants, but Venus is having us spend money on some, little luxuries and all the extra things that aren't necessarily your basic necessities. So, yeah, it's very expressive. How about that? Now, Tuesday, we have a change with the moon. Moon is going into Capricorn, and Capricorn is that earthy, practical, in the details, very analytical too, and serious. This is a serious sign. This is not like I'm breaking down and I'm having an emotional meltdown. Like, no, we are doing what is necessary. We need to take care of our responsibilities and our obligations. It's a serious placement for the moon. And it is, I would say, works pretty well with this. Like, there is a nice trine between the moon and the sun and even Mercury. And Mercury has moved into Virgo on this day, on Tuesday. And guess what? Mercury is at home in Virgo. So this is the planet of the mind, of our thoughts, our thinking, our communication. And it is so happy here. It is strong here. This means like our mental clarity is much sharper. Our ability to plan and analyze with the moon in Capricorn. Ooh, like talk about planning your life right now, planning your ideal day or your ideal week. Do it this day, maybe even Wednesday too, because Mercury is still in Virgo and moon is still in Capricorn. Yes, it is. Okay. So Tuesday, Wednesday, these are the days to get your life together. These are the days to plan out your schedules, your month, I don't know, your whole next year even. I mean, we got an eclipse coming. So because when Mercury gets really close to the sun, it's going to go combust in a matter of a few days. And that feature is going to be inhibited. So take this little window of opportunity of Tuesday and Wednesday to get your ducks in a row, take care of things that are maybe just not super fun, but it's important to do, like taxes, for example. Um, and this is a great time to just figure things out and get some answers, get some clarity on things, like really sort and sift through a lot of details here. You're going to have the focus, you're going to have the clarity, the sharpness. And to even add to this, look, you have Uranus that is in square with Mercury, and it'll be exactly square on Wednesday. Now, Uranus is the great awakener. It's the breakthrough planet. It's the liberator. It's the thing that gives us very sudden revelations. And so here with Uranus talking to this, I mean, talk about like, wow, I see it all now. I got the plans down. So there is this opening that's going to happen in your mind and in your perspective and your ability to see the big picture as well as the fine details. It's breakthrough energy. It's breakthrough energy. So talk about just even creativity. Like if your creativity has to do with strategic planning in some way, like this is going to be a phenomenal day for you. So I really love what can be revealed for us on Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah. And here's another thing though. It can cause some overstimulation with this Uranus square. So if you have mental restlessness or your mind is on overdrive and you just can't seem to like shut it down, it makes sense. Uranus can absolutely do that. And one of the ways I would say to support yourself is doing earthy things. Mercury is in an earth sign, moon is in an earth sign. So things like gardening, cooking, hiking, playing with your stones and crystals, like working with the elements of the earth. If you have too much mental stimulation, then go ahead and do that. But ultimately, in the end, I feel like this is really going to just sharpen our focus, really sharpen our focus, and discernment and planning and deciding. Like this is a good couple of days, Tuesday, Wednesday, to make some great decisions here. Okay, so speaking of Wednesday, let's continue on. We have moon opposite Jupiter, and we have this moon in a sign of like practicality and taking care of business, right? And then we have Jupiter that is about indulgence and, comfort. Like I want to go in a cozy nook and read my book, like with Jupiter in Cancer. So it's wanting emotional comfort and safety over here. But then the moon in Capricorn is like, we need to get to work. We need to do hard work. So there could be a little bit of an internal struggle, an internal fight, essentially, of like, I need to get this stuff done, but I want to just go lay down on the couch. And when we have this opposition, it's about honoring both. It's not about cutting off one side and think one side's more important than the other. It's not about that at all. It's about making room and making space for both. Granted, you can't do it at the same time. Can't do it at the same time, but you can have some part of the day for this responsible, practical side, and then some part of the day for just relaxation, indulgent, fun, pleasure, play side as well. So honor both in this day. All right. Let's see if there's anything new there. Nope. We're going to continue on to Thursday. Thursday, we have a vibe shift. We have the moon going into a new sign. It's ingressing into Aquarius, which is a more cooler, attached, more like cerebral, intellectual type of sign. However, we are not going to be that way because, not entirely, because we are talking to Pluto. Look at moon and Pluto, especially at this time in the morning. It is exact 1 degree, moon Pluto. Now, Pluto is intense emotions, intense feelings, intense transformation, even like taking our fears and bringing it up to the surface. So it can bring about some anxiousness as a result too, but it can feel very destabilizing internally. I will say, just like for me, my personal experience of whenever Moon is talking to Pluto in this way or in opposition, I literally feel like the ground underneath me is pulled away and I'm just like free falling in life. So it's a little bit unnerving. But, everybody's different. It depends also on your chart too. But usually Pluto is not like rainbows and unicorns and fun and like delightful. And like, it's not usually that. I mean, it is the planet of death. So it usually stirs up more difficult, human emotions that we deal with. So, but it's also about transformation, and it can spur on a lot of healing. So like a internal healing, emotional healing crisis. And again, a healing crisis typically is not pleasant. And so something to consider if you have a rough go of this day on Thursday, just internally speaking. And then it does communicate with this little mini grand trine. This mini grand trine has been around forever. It's been around for months. And it's really supportive in the evolution of human consciousness right now, the evolution of this planet. And this is a very auspicious configuration of them talking together. It's probably been thousands of years since we've ever seen anything like this. So all of us who are alive on this planet have never seen this ever in our lives, because these planets have, cycles that are like 248 years. And so whenever Moon, this is my theory, whenever Moon is touching one of these outer planets like Pluto or Uranus, and Uranus here and Neptune here in this mini grand trine, this means our Moon is plugging into their activities and plugging into what they are doing. Because the Moon represents the physical body and it represents the emotional body. So we tend to have a very visceral feeling when Moon is touching these planets, and we kind of get plugged in and get juiced up by what they are doing. I mean, if you think about just little simple description of this mini grand trine. We have at the top Neptune, which deals with our visions and our dreams, all right? It's things that are not in this reality yet. And then we have Uranus is the great awakener. It brings about evolution, okay? It is it's liberating, it's breakthrough energy. And then you have the planet of Pluto that deals with transformation. So all of our dreams and our visions are being fueled, right? And Pluto is acting as a catalyst for all of this transformation and this breakthrough energy. Basically, our dreams are breaking out of this transcendent realm and into this realm. And it's going to start taking form, especially with Saturn as part of the mix, a little extra there. But so when the Moon is touching these planets, it's getting clued in on what's happening. And I think we can feel it more internally when the Moon is touching one of these planets very intimately. So for me, like I said, is a lot. I want to just go lay down, because transformation and change, especially with Pluto, right? It takes energy to change. And so sometimes we can get a bit exhausted when the Moon is touching Pluto, to give you an idea. So sometimes when that happens, it's seemingly out of the blue, and you're like, I don't know why I'm so tired today. It's not necessarily that something is wrong with you, okay? Sometimes you're just plugging into and feeling and sensing the amount of change that is happening at a cellular level. And it's not anything you did wrong. It's just you're connecting into those, they're not subtle changes, but for those of us who are empaths, we can sense these subtle things, and it can be exhausting. So pay attention. This is why I like to see the movements of the Moon, because they have quite an intimate, profound, visceral effect on our bodies as well as our energy levels as too. So pay attention is basically all I'm saying. Okay, so that's Thursday, an extended conversation around Thursday. And another thing we need to pay attention to now on Thursday, we are dealing with Mercury combustion. Okay, so, actually, no, it starts Friday. My apologies. Mercury combustion starts on Friday. And Friday, we are seeing about an 8-degree wave between the sun and Mercury. And so that is that window. 8 degrees is when the rays of the sun, the beams of the sun is so strong, it's overpowering Mercury. And so in the sky, Mercury is not as visible. And that's what we call it combustion or under the beams. And when Mercury is under the rays of the sun, because the rays are so strong, okay, it's causing Mercury to be hidden. And so that means its functions, the mind, the clarity. And Mercury's at home in Virgo too. At least we kind of got that going for Mercury. But its ability to think clearly, to express and communicate, those functions are being hindered a little bit. And the closer it gets, that hindrance just becomes stronger. So in some ways, I liken Mercury combustion to kind of like a Mercury retrograde. Yeah, kind of like a Mercury retrograde. Now we're going to have a moment on September 13th where it's cazimi, where it's in the heart of the sun. That's like incredible. That's delightful. But then it'll go back to combustion again. So really this combustion season, this window is starting on Friday, which is, I believe, the 5th of September, and it goes on until September 23rd. So Mercury is going to be struggling a little bit for the next couple of weeks, or I guess it's few weeks, almost few weeks. Okay, so we've got that to deal with. And then we have Moon also opposite Venus on this day. So sometimes we have a little bit of tension between ourselves and the people in our lives and our relationships, whether it's love partner or friends or things of that nature. So there could be a little bit of like, hey, I want this and you want that, and we're not seeing each other eye to eye. A little bit of conflict could happen here. But this can also ignite a lot of creativity with Venus in Leo. Absolutely. We can get some creative surges here as well too. Now on Saturday, we have Moon now opposite Mercury. So Mercury is combust, and now we've got the Moon opposite to it. Moon is in Aquarius still, but this can definitely create some conflict between our mind and our heart. And I would just say that things are not going to be clearly understood. The whole detailed analytical side of Mercury might be a bit compromised. It might be hard to articulate your feelings or your ideas. So just slow down. Slow down. Don't try to rush things. Give your time some space to process. Like this is where we're not going to be forcing a decision. We're not going to be forcing an understanding or a conclusion about something. Really just slow down. Slow down the mind, okay? All right. Now, Sunday, this is the day. This is the day. This is the day of the big lunar eclipse. And there's so many layers to this eclipse, so I want to break it down first by sign and looking at the axis that this eclipse is in, because it's a full moon. It's a full moon, but we have the north node in Pisces and the south node in Virgo. And whenever the moon is about, and it's a new moon or a full moon, it's within 15 degrees of a node, then that means we have an eclipse. And if you can tell, look at moon is 15 degrees and the node is 18 degrees. So it's 3 degrees away. So we have a pretty strong eclipse here. This is a lunar eclipse. And we have other planets that are part of this too. We have Jupiter talking to both the sun and the moon. We have Saturn here with the moon and the north node. We also have Mercury as part of the mixture here too. So the Pisces Virgo axis here, Pisces is about the unseen. This is about the mystical. This is the spiritual. This is the world of dreams and visions and imagination. It's empathy, it's sensitivity. So as you can tell, it doesn't have, a strong like physical tangible feature about it. And so we have the north node here though. So this means this is a north node lunar eclipse. And remember when I said in the very beginning, it's about great endings or great beginnings. When the moon is with the north node, there is more emphasis on new beginnings, okay? Versus if the moon was with the south node, it would be about great endings. So great new beginnings is kind of the theme here, the larger like flavor of this lunar eclipse. Now, Pisces, like I said, is our visions. It's our dreams. It's our imagination. It's our spirituality. Okay. It's that part of us. And then the south node, where south node is in Virgo, where Virgo is. So Virgo is practicality. It's about details. It's about the logical thinking, being analytical. It's the mind. It's a very perfectionistic controlling sign, and it likes to serve, it likes to do, it likes to take action. It likes to just do it themselves. Okay. Whereas guess what Pisces is about? It's about surrender. It's about letting go. Pisces, this is an arena that you just don't have control. Do you have control over your imagination? No. Do you have control over your sensitivity? No. Like Pisces deals with things that we don't have control over, whereas Virgo is about the things we do have control over, like our habits, our routines, etc. So here with this North Node eclipse, the emphasis is on focusing on, things that you can't control. All right. It's about surrender. It's about letting go, surrendering to your dreams, surrendering to your visions. Okay. Surrendering to your creativity, your imagination. Those are the things that we want to create new beginnings around, making space and room for these things. And I find it quite interesting that Saturn, literally days before this eclipse, because it's been in Aries for some time, has decided to retrograde back just in time for this lunar eclipse, just in time. Because what does Saturn bring? Form, reality, okay? It's the material realm. And in many ways, it feels like what the universe is saying, okay, I want you to dream. I want you to vision. Okay, I want you to imagine. All right. And know that it's going to take form. It's going to take form because eventually Saturn is going to go back into Aries and start a whole new, 30-year cycle. And Aries is about taking action in things and actually bringing things into the material realm. So it's almost like Saturn is taking like the essence of what's happening in this eclipse, this new vision that you have for yourself, this new spiritual life that you have for yourself, right? And taking the essence of that and the seeding of that, and then going back into Aries in February, and then carrying it forward for a new 30-year cycle of Saturn going through Aries, through all the signs, and back into Pisces again. It's pretty amazing. I love it. And then to help out this whole situation, we have Jupiter in the most fertile placement of Cancer. It's exalted here. So this brings prosperity, luck, abundance, growth, expansion. Those are the words for Jupiter. That's the essence of Jupiter. And it's strong Jupiter. It's the strongest Jupiter. It's the best placement of all the signs. And guess what it's doing? It's talking to both the sun and it's talking to both the moon, the sun and the moon, in a very powerful, strong, positive, harmonious way. It's giving its luck over to the sun, helping you to let go of control. Okay. And then the Jupiter trine the moon and the north node. I mean, come on. That's lucky. Okay. That's lucky. And then Saturn's there to just carry on these seeds forward. Jupiter is adding this fertile energy to cultivate, to nurture this vision, this dream. Amazing. Amazing. Look, you don't have to do anything special for an eclipse because things are happening, whether we like it or not, or want it to or not. But you can at least journal. I would at least write. I would write and reflect and just journal your dreams. Journal your dreams. Dream again, please. I've been saying this again and again from forecast to forecast. Like, it's time to dream. It's time to dream. And don't expect the dream to take form in 2 days, please. Let's just be realistic. Like Saturn is saying, we need to be practical and realistic. But say it grows in 1 year or 2 years or 5 years or 15 years. You should still do it. You cannot expect a tree to, from the moment of planting a seed, to become a full mature tree with fruit and flowers in like a week. We just can't have that expectation. That's not this reality. We're still living in this dimensional reality, whether we like it or not. There are rules, okay? And there are laws of nature that we have to abide by, whether, again, we like it or not. So my other question to you is, what house is this Pisces in? Where is this lunar, North Node lunar eclipse happening? Comment down below. Let me know what house is happening in, because all the things I just talked about, you add the meaning of the house, and now that just adds another layer of understanding of where this concentrated energy is happening, where this growth, this new birth, this new vision that you're inviting in to your life. What area of your life is it really going to take seed? So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this forecast. Make sure to journal it out on Sunday. And this lunar eclipse, just so you know, is happening at the peak, okay, it's exact at 1:09 Central Time. So that makes it 2:09 Eastern, 11:09 a.m. Pacific. So it's happening in the middle of the day, afternoon time. And make sure to like, subscribe, and share away for anyone who needs to hear this message. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next forecast. Do you find yourself giving more than receiving, doubting your worth, and maybe even hiding your powerful gifts from the world? These are signs of someone being disconnected with their soul's highest expression. I'm Desiree de Lunae, an acupuncturist, herbalist, and astrologer, and through my own healing journey of self-discovery, I have learned how to shift these lower frequency states into empowered living. I use Chinese medicine, essential oils, astrology, as well as work that brings together ancient wisdom and modern healing practices. So I want to introduce to you Rise and Thrive. This is a unique membership program where you'll be receiving quarterly workshops, guided meditations, and essential oil blend recipes that are specifically designed for empathic, hypersensitive women like you. Unlike other one-off workshops or some generic self-help program, understand that Rise and Thrive offers ongoing support, practical tools that help you to create lasting and progressive transformation. So at just $61 per quarter, it is the most affordable way to work with me consistently. So click on the link down below, join the Rise and Thrive membership, the community, and begin your journey into living your authentic, empowered life.